you've worked with so many different artists. I know you've worked from Justin Bieber.
I love working with Justin.
He's one of your best friends, right?
Yeah, Justin's great. But it was happening so quick, and my mom was like, "You must finish college, man. I know about this music business." The way that I really got introduced to the sound healing was because I'm a cancer survivor.
Pada tang tang tang, pada do adu way, puda Sarah go to.
Wow, you know the language. Wow.
I was learning.
How song helps you learn the language, right?
It connects.
You know, music is a universal language, so I think it helps us to connect with people all over the world.
Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And we were just chatting before we started recording about how when we first met, George, all of us, we were in the studio with you and Jaden and somebody else and Omar.
Was Willow?
Yes, Willow was actually sleeping because it was so late at night. She had taken a break. You got, what artists? I don't know what it is. Do you all get your creative juices flowing at midnight after, or is it?
I have an idea about that. I don't know if it's true, but I have a theory. So I think if you compare it to Wi-Fi or something, right? You know, when lots of people get on your Wi-Fi, it slows down. If a lot of people are on the same server, connection it's like fractions the signal. So maybe at night, why a lot of creativity happens with writers and artists is maybe there's less people maybe connected to the field or something. So you can get a faster, stronger connection. Just like if there's less people on the Wi-Fi, your flow can come through. So
that makes so much sense.
It's just an idea, yeah.
You know what? I know this is totally different, but I've always been a morning person. And I love to exercise in the morning.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I used to believe it because I was a sprinter and I ran track. And so I used to like to get up and jog at 6 or earlier because it was silent.
Mm-hmm.
And you could feel the difference. And in West Virginia, where I grew up, you grew up in Michigan, right?
Michigan.
Yes.
Yep.
Where I grew up, I could hear the little toenails of the squirrels running on the power lines.
Wow.
That's what I remember.
Wow.
So I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
When you say that makes so much sense.
There was that idea. I was talking to a producer, and he produced both Michael and Prince.
Mm.
And he said that if Michael would get an idea at 4 or something like that, 4 a.m. or whatever it was, he would say, "I got to hurry up and go to the studio now before Prince gets it." So that was his idea of how he believed ideas were maybe in some field or some place or somewhere that you can kind of get it, So he needed to hurry up and do it. So I don't know, maybe creativity is people tapping into some space and just downloading it. But I don't know.
That is so
I have
interesting.
no proof of any of this.
That's so interesting. Yeah. I was watching, did you see the making of We Are the World?
I see a lot of them. Yeah. Is it on the one on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's one on Netflix or something.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen it.
Yeah. But it was just so interesting to see how they did that and Michael's genius and also how he and Prince were so competitive, which I didn't know.
Yeah. And to do something like that, you have to get a lot of people with huge status to come together for one cause and put their egos to side. Something like We Are the World, which is a huge feat. 'Cause, it's hard to even get 2 or 3 people working together on one thing, let alone how many artists did they have in that one? So many.
I know.
So that was a really cool moment.
Yeah. So how did you? I want to know, Maejor, how did you get into music? Because I know in college you already had plaques on the wall.
Yeah.
You had already accomplished so much. Were you like a little kid drumming on the ground or somebody with on the desk pounding with pencils? What was little Maejor? The young one.
When I was younger, I was much more into sports and different things. I got introduced to music in about the 8th grade, maybe 9th grade at school. And it was my homie, this kid, his name was Niles, and he had a CD. And I was living in Detroit, and no one in my family or anyone around me was musical or had any type of experience in music. So to me, music might as well have been like, a spaceship, like where you recorded a studio. Like it looks so far away, what you see on TV, like, this room with all these buttons. So I never thought about the idea of making music. And a kid at my school had a CD and he said he made the beats on this. And I was like, wait a minute, you made this? And he's like, yeah. And it was my first like connection to like, oh, someone can actually make this. So I was like, show me, how did you do this? And he showed me a program and I just thought it was cool. And then the way that I, a little bit after that, the way that I got into the industry was through at the time of given my age, but MySpace was the popular social media at the time, and you could put music on your page. So I put, some beats and different things I was working on there. Then it helped connect with artists outside of the local community. And as these artists started to gain popularity and then, national and global infrastructure and everything, I just kept going with it. So my music kept going with them. And it was just a really natural progression from producing, writing, artists, just all things with music. Just was a really crazy journey, yeah. But MySpace and technology is kind of how it started. So that's why I always tell people, like, put your ideas out and your things and your creativity. And I'm sure, there is some way to be safe and to be like copyright and make sure you have this. But if you lead too much with the fear that someone will take it or anything like that, sometimes you won't get the opportunity for people to just see it. And in the beginning, I wasn't getting any money from those early things. It was like mixtapes and all types. It was just truly because I enjoyed it. And then later on, it became a business. So lesson for anyone, I'm sure you've seen in anything you're passionate about or anything, at first, you're going to do it for a while. Yeah, you're going to do it for a while before you start getting paid for it. It's only right. Like, no one's just going to come give it to you. As soon as you start, you got to work up your way to, like, they call it that 10,000 hours or something like that. So that was my journey into music.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And you've worked with so many different artists. I know you've worked from Justin Bieber. Who are some of your favorite artists that you've worked with?
I love working with Justin. I love working with Martin.
He's one of your best friends, right?
Yeah, Justin's great. I love working with Martin Garrix. We have a group together that's awesome called Area 21. I love working with different artists from different genres and styles. I worked together with Anita, who's an awesome Brazilian singer, and we made a song that became really popular. So I like collaborating with people from different countries, different languages, and
so
styles.
Global.
Yeah, now we're working with Pepe Aguiar, who's awesome, sings in Spanish. So I just love to just, music is a universal language. So I think it helps us to connect with people all over the world. So yeah.
Yeah. When you said that, it makes me think, when I went to Sierra Leone to meet my birth family for the first time, I was in shock. I was overwhelmed, and all the village came out to welcome me. But it was the music, because my background is in dance. So I was the kid who in college at the club, somebody would walk up and say, hey, I want to talk to you. And I would hear the music and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be rude. I can't talk to you right now. I got to go dance, because I just felt it. And that's what connected me to my family in Sierra Leone, were the drums and the music.
What is the music like? What did it sound like?
They were singing.
Huh.
Actually, thank you for asking.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, what's that sound?
So the women in the village. So when I arrived, my father gave me this green African dress, and when I arrived in the village, all the women came forward in the village wearing the same green dress, and they were singing, "Put a tang tang tang, put a tang tang tang." Para do adu way, Puda Sarah go to. They were singing in Mende, my family's language. We're preparing for Sarah.
You know the language? Wow.
I was learning. So all of a sudden.
See how song helps you learn the language, right?
It
like
connects.
The ABCs, everything.
Yes.
Wow.
Music is you're right, the universal connector. And what's interesting is when I was in Sierra Leone, I could talk to the people I could say, oh, do you know who Oprah is? They're like, I don't know. Do you know who Michael Jackson is? Yes. Do you know who Tupac is? Yes. Music would travel. Not everyone had a television, and still don't, but they had a radio and they had access to music.
Wow.
That's what I think is so special.
Really powerful.
Really powerful.
Yeah. No, it reminds me of, we got a chance with actually was with Justin. We were traveling, and I think it was in some country. It was a Spanish-speaking country, and most of the people, didn't speak the language, but they were all still vibing and still connected, and it showed you that power that music has to bring us together. I want to hear that music from Sierra Leone.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll
I want to hear
totally,
that. You gotta
yes.
send me
It
that.
was so special. It was, and what's interesting is growing up, I always gravitated to drums. I danced in a salsa company and we performed in Cuba and studied with dance companies in Cuba, but the drums are what constantly bring us back. And I think when I think about R&B and hip hop, it's the downbeat and the drums.
Oh yeah, it's the backbone of the
heartbeat.
song. Yeah, without the drums, it's tough to have. Yeah,
All of
it's
that.
tough for it to be R&B or hip hop for sure. It's the rhythm, even in the reggaeton, all of that. It's the rhythm and the beat, and that keeps it going.
Do you have a favorite genre of music?
I mean, if I had to choose, I would guess it would probably be like hip hop is where I was like most grown and comfortable, and then reggae is like my family's Jamaican, so I think those two would probably. But I mean, really all styles of music. It's tough to choose just one.
Yeah, when you talk about your family, are you first generation or?
Yeah, so my mom is moved here from Jamaica and met my dad here. So yeah, I spent all the summers in Jamaica going there, and then I'll be in Detroit for the school year. So it was like a cool contrast to just
That's a big contrast.
yeah, see different cultures, and yeah, it was really cool.
Do you think there are things that you took from those experiences in the summer in Jamaica that influenced your music?
Oh yeah, I think that every experience influences an artist's art for sure, and I think it's kind of almost impossible for it not to. So yeah, definitely. I think even just changed my experience in general, just gave me a wide perspective from a young age, which definitely I'm sure influenced the sound for sure.
Yeah. Who are some of your maybe mentors or guides or inspirations in your journey of music?
People that I look up to and musically?
Yeah. Like I remember when we met, I was wearing a Marvin Gaye hoodie.
Oh yeah, I love Marvin Gaye.
It became a conversation, so I was just wondering.
Yeah, I love Marvin Gaye. Motown.
Yeah.
Bob Marley.
Oh yeah.
For sure. You said Tupac, Michael. Yeah, I like most of those people, but I mean, there's so many people. Amy Winehouse. There's so many talented people that I really just like. Beyonce.
Oh yes.
There's a lot of people that I think are really, really awesome. You can kind of learn something good from everyone.
So in college, were you mainly working on music? I know did that become a huge part of you, or were you mainly focusing on business? What did it look like for you in college?
Well, at college, my music started taking off. Like you said, we were getting the platinums and had some plaques and stuff. But it was happening so quick, and my mom's like, "You must finish college, man. I know about this music business." And I didn't know if it would keep going or if it was just like a lucky streak. So I was finishing school, but I was spending most of my time focused on the music, which was cool. So I got a lot of time to just. But I was traveling too while going to school. So yeah, it was a crazy experience, but definitely finished and graduated. So
yeah. And you make music that also has healing frequencies, which I'm just sitting here with you. And what's interesting is I feel very relaxed, more relaxed than I normally am. I think that's the energy that you bring.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm just noticing that, and I'm like, well, gosh, it's just in you. You are that. And then you put that into your music. Can you share?
Yeah, well, what you say right there reminds me. I have a friend who they talk about in Ayurveda, they believe that the chef's energy goes into the food. Kind of like if your mom cooks something, it's going to hit different than someone just throws it on the plate. But yeah, no, so we started, started working with the ways from the science and spiritual communities, the way that they view sound, so like the healing aspects of it. And I noticed that was much different from what was happening in the mainstream music community. It became a kind of a passion and a journey to help bring this more into the mainstream, these ideas.
Not only do you write music for different artists, but also for movies, for video games. How does one, people are listening who might be interested in producing or making beats or creating music. How do you go from doing hip hop and so on to creating music for movies, to video games? How does that work? And how did you even get started in that?
Yeah. To me, honestly, most of the things that have came in music and in general have been alignment, really just alignment with the right people at the right time. So before I did that, I didn't necessarily have this was my plan to produce in movies or video games. I just kept focusing on my craft and just kept focusing on making the best stuff I could make, and the music just kept growing and finding new outlets and new experiences. And so I think that's kind of the lesson, is like you never know where it will even end up. Like, I think that what gave me the opportunity to do the music for the video games is because they heard music that I did for artists that they liked and enjoyed. So it formed a personal connection with the person who was making the choice to make, to choose for this album. And so they thought about me. So I think that's, a good thing for whenever you're working on whatever it is, do your best, because that can lead to the next thing. Another example of something like that happening was the way that I mentioned Anita. She's the Brazilian artist. And I met her from another song that I did that wasn't super popular, but it was more cool and for the culture, and that's how we connected. And then later on, we made one that became a popular hit song. But it's like each step is important to the next one. So the way that it came into movies, came into video games, is just from working on something that someone liked, and then it just keeps going.
And so, do you have a business background? Because I know as an artist, there's like a whole business world of it. Tell me a little bit about that, or did people show up and help you with the business side, which happens sometimes with artists?
Yeah, no, my first real business was my music's. When I was like 17, 18 is like when I really started taking off. So I learned a lot along the way. Me and my family, mom was always there. A lot of sister. We were always kind of learning along the way. And then I had business managers and accountants and all of these people, and some of them who I'm no longer with, but you just learn each step through the way. And so now got a pretty good, I would say, understanding of it, grasp of it. And also just looking to continuously diversify, portfolio and really make sure that that you don't, for me, I'm noticing just, I don't want to have everything relying on music income as my only way to have income. Start thinking about other ways to create, to be creative, and to have inflow. So
how do you keep yourself inspired and get new ideas? Some people go to the beach, some people take walks, some people meditate. What is your process, or what works for you?
Mm-hmm. To be honest, I feel like I have more ideas than I do time. So I kind of have to try to focus on when I'm resting, just chilling, really chilling, so that I could come back and really just get the ideas off. It's crazy. There's so much stuff I want to, if I go into a studio or something, there's just infinite paths I can go on. So I never really get stuck in that way, but more so just about being my best when I show up for the studio or the session, or
So it sounds like you just have so many ideas all the time. There's not a lack of, you don't need to go somewhere or do something to get inspiration. It sounds like it's just in you all the time, flowing.
But the question is, are they my ideas, or are they just some people say we're like vessels or channels. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's actually my idea, but
I love that.
There's some good ideas out there.
Yeah, and the sharing of those ideas with each other, like you were saying with Michael Jackson, he's like, I got to do this before Prince gets it. It's it's just out there in the energy in those quiet spaces and times.
But I'm sure people see that, maybe you had something idea that you thought that you really felt was burning and was awesome, and you didn't do it, and then later on someone did it.
Right.
And you're like, oh wow, I had that idea. It's maybe it was just trying to come through.
That's such a good point, because when people are someone's like, oh, that person stole my idea. It's like, well, maybe it's out there and whoever captures it and goes, moves it, that's theirs. And then you have yours.
Yeah. I think that's probably more realistically how it works
Yeah.
than people stealing an idea. Because it like, if I'm thinking about it right now, like for you to have the idea is a part of it, but it's really the energy and the drive to follow it up. So if you're gonna have the idea and the drive, the energy and the drive to follow it up, you probably gonna have to really believe in the idea. And it's usually, I don't know if that could happen just off of a stolen idea. Like you have to really have thought it out and think so much that to spend that much time to really make it actually happen.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. People say they stole my idea, but I don't know. Sometimes maybe they did, but
sometimes it might just be out there.
Sometimes it might just be out there.
What does a typical day look like for you? When I think of artists and musicians, I don't know. What does your day look like? And I'm sure every day is so different.
Yeah. Well, these days, really not that much patterns because I've been getting into so much with the wellness. So now we're doing a lot of even travel with the speaking and
tell me more
events.
About that, speaking and so on.
Yeah. So we've been doing like wellness experiences and talks. So I spoke at the Web Summit in Lisbon and in Doha and then also at the World Economic Forum. And a lot of people are interested from the business world about how they can be their best and, the technology world, or about how sound and these different things can help them to optimize their performance. A lot of businesses want their staff to be, thinking about this best operating and best just flow. So we came up with these programs and different meditations and frequencies. And so I've been going around telling my experiences, sharing these experiences, and it's been really cool. People have been receiving them really well, just from the business community and from just another world. It's really cool to help integrate some of these ideas from the music world into the technologies and business world, and it kind of all flows together.
I love that. Did you have them listen to music?
Yeah, so we'll actually play some music at the events and have a short meditation, give them grounding, talk about power of sound, all these things.
I love that. So you're doing this all over the world.
Yeah.
Have you, this is just coming, I was just thinking about this. Have you ever been, I would love to connect you with Princeton Plasma Physics Lab where I spoke. Because they're working on sustainable energy and they have a simulation of the sun that gets up to 500 million degrees.
Wow.
Right?
Wow, that's really cool.
It's so cool. And these scientists are from all over the world and they're working at Princeton. And the idea of having them, the head of the program, Dr. Scully, he actually loves, when I talked to him about I asked him, what do you like to do for fun? And I'm going to actually ask you that as well. Well, it's probably do music, but if there are other things. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, on Saturdays, my wife paints and I love to sit in the chair and do math problems. And I said, well, you're a scientist. That makes sense. You like to do math problems. I said, that would not be fun for me. Salsa dancing would be fun for me. And he said, but I also love listening to jazz. And he talked about Coltrane and all these different musicians. So you speaking made me think, wow, these scientists, what could they get? What could they develop at another level that could help our world having something that you all are doing with music? That just popped into my head just now.
Oh, yeah. And I would love to have to link with them. We've been having discussions with some of our other organizations and people, partners, about how can we use these innovations to make a better world in terms of city planning, so many different ideas that we've been thinking about. So yeah, I love that idea.
I love that idea too. I mean, listen, how do we make this world a better place? Through music, through whatever the avenues are to move it forward.
Where there's a quote from Nikola Tesla says, if you wish to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So there it is.
There it is. And we're all made up of energy. And that's what they're working on, sustainable energy.
Wow.
Well,
look
right?
at that. Synchronicity.
Yes.
Look at that.
I love that. What would you tell somebody who's searching for their own sounds as an artist?
I think that they have their own sound already. The challenge is in like removing the part of us that wants to like adapt to what is going on in the world, you know? So I think if we can start to remove those like voices or those blocks, whatever it is that prevents us from going into our real, authentic, true place. And it's tough. Like I'm still working on that years as an artist, but still like trying to go to more of what's authentically you and getting away from those voices. I think helps to find the most sound. And a lot of times that's easy, or I mean, it's, you know, different challenges at different times. In the beginning, the challenge can be maybe like lack of recognition or validation of something in the beginning, maybe, or maybe once that comes, and then it can become like, I heard Andre 3000 or someone saying like once everyone kind of knows what has an expectation of you, then it's like where do you go from there and what do you say from there and where. So I think an artist constantly is trying to figure out like what is the space where I go, what is the lane. But I think if you go towards something truth or something that really resonates with you, that's typically, I notice, will resonate with others.
Yeah, completely. I love that. What are some other passions that you have outside of music?
Outside of music, I love food.
Me too.
I love food.
Do you cook?
I'm working on that. I'm not quite there yet. I like like exercise movement, some type of meditation is really helpful for me to keep me just consistent. I like chilling. Yeah, just chilling, honestly. Really just chilling. Just these days, I just really happy to just chill.
Yeah, especially when you work so hard at such a young age. Sometimes it's like finding those moments just to relax.
Absolutely. Spending time with family, stuff like that is awesome.
Yeah. What you just said, I don't know if I can find it, but there's a quote that I just posted on Instagram when you were talking about sharing something with, here it is. I want to read this because this reminds me of what you just shared. I'm glad I could find it. Maybe the journey isn't about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so that you can be who you were meant to be in the first place.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah. And that relates also to when I talk about the sound healing, and I put it like that in quotes because it's kind of related to that quote of like, I don't like to say that it's the music that's actually healing you. I believe we're already healed. Like this quote is saying, we're already connected to that source of wellness and of healing. And so it's about removing everything that's not that and coming back to that. And, you know, and just like the music, just like, you know, when you get in the right state through exercise or through food or whatever it is, your body can start to heal itself. This is the same thing that happens with the frequency and the audio and everything. So, like you say, we're already good, and just finding our way back to our true self is the task.
Right. I think that's what you were also saying, of course, with music and musicians and finding their own sound. Like you already have that. It's kind of wiping away maybe everybody else's sound that you think you should be to just be you.
Yes.
And that's enough.
Yes.
And that's your truth. That's your essence. That's what you have to give the world.
Yes. And we say it's super easy, so anyone who's having challenges with it, it's understandable because there's a lot of programming that have to be unlearned in a sense, you know, since you're a kid, there's a lot of programming. So, but once you become aware, then we can start to, just look differently.
What's your goal you hope to accomplish in the near future?
Help bring sound healing into the mainstream.
I love that.
So, and I feel like this time is happening. People, since the pandemic, are more open to ideas around wellness and, you know, conversations around mental health and all these things are popular. And so I think, that's something that I look forward to happening.
And I think the Secretary General actually just recently said that loneliness is an epidemic.
Wow.
And so what you're saying also is about the healing music that you're creating, the importance of that to help with healing with people. You know what I also think? Okay, I'm having all these moments of like dropping in, but I also want to connect you. I've got all these ideas.
I love it.
I also want to connect you to, believe it or not, the construction and manufacturing industry.
Hmm.
They are number 2 for the highest suicide rates behind the military.
Really?
And because they have to go off and work on a rig, or they miss basketball games, or their kids this, or they're lonely, they're off on their own.
Mm.
So I feel like the music and the work that you're doing could be so powerful for them as well. And I told them I want to help find people to help support them in their journey, because it's a big deal. And not everyone wants to go talk to a therapist or sit down, but they'll turn on a song.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And we've been making like little experiences that have shown for benefit people with like veterans and stuff like that, PTSD. So I'm sure that we could tweak some stuff into that type of format that would be helpful for that.
Yeah, I love this. I'm finding all these connections. So just to close out here, is there anything that you want to share with the audience, or anything that you want to, words of wisdom that you want to leave for people?
No, yeah, I'll talk about I talked a bit about the sound healing, but these days I've been kind of thinking about like the yin yang concept, and so we talked about how I got into it, but I didn't mention that I came from also the way that I really got introduced to the sound healing was because I'm a cancer survivor. So during that experience, and this is where the yin yang comes in, it's like it was a challenging period for me of terms of figuring out like what, it's such a huge life change, even just hearing his words. But then when I went through the process, everyone started sharing with me all these different modalities, from science, from spirituality, all these different ways to heal and wellness. And so many new things that I hadn't heard of, from Western, Eastern, science, spiritual, but the things that resonated were related to sound, because I was already into the music. So that actually put me on the journey of where I am now and doing all of that. So it's kind of the thought behind it is just like everything has two sides, and if you just focus on what's coming good from it, that's the best way to be. So yeah, that's it. Just keep going, everyone out there. Thank you for having me here as well.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Wow.